Hello everyone, Nick here. I'm editing this video, but I felt like it was important to address something quite quickly. So as you could probably tell by looking at the video title, seeing the thumbnail, or reading the description below, this is in fact the crown jewel video for Doctor Who Series 11. But in the last crown jewel video for Series 10, Matt said this.
I'm not moving on from the Moffat era just yet. I'm actually going to be discussing the Christmas specials, so I'm not moving on to Jodie, I'm not moving on to the 13th Doctor just yet. I will, and you'll see that later this month, but for now, I am going to just be covering Christmas specials next week.
So if Matt said he was going to do the crown jewel video for the Christmas specials next before moving on to the Jodie Whittaker era, then how come we're doing Series 11 now instead of next week? Simple. He wanted the Christmas specials crown jewel video to be released in December so it would be nearer to Christmas. More appropriate time, don't you think? So, because of that, we are now going to press ahead with the Jodie Whittaker era crown jewel videos, starting with, as you can probably already tell, as we've already started it, the Series 11 crown jewel video. With all of that cleared up, Matt, take it away.
For all you viewers watching, don't be mean in the comments. I know it's popular to dunk on the Chibnall era, but quite honestly, trying to say, oh, this is the best of it, and being like, ha ha ha, everything is equally as bad as each other and the worst thing to ever happen to the show, you're not doing this in good faith. This is a good faith series about the best of each season of Doctor Who, including the Chibnall era, including the 13th Doctor's seasons. And, funnily enough, there is something that isn't the worst thing. So therefore, that implies there is a best thing. Shock horror. And shock horror, again, it's actually good. I do think there are some highlights of the season, definitely. Series 11. Of course, we've got Rosa. I think it's a very good historical. And it takes you away. Very high concept sci-fi, right down my alley. I was so close to marking it as a crown jewel. And it might as well be, to be honest. Yeah, it takes you away. Is a very good story that really takes some turns. And one story in the season is kind of marked down for having a theme contrasting with its actual plot substance, and having its third act be a bit subversive for no particular good reason. Like, not saying that wasn't planned within the story, but it's a bad plan, is what I'm trying to indicate. It takes you away, does subversion really good. You think there's a monster, turns out there's actually a portal, turns out there's no monster, turns out it's just a sentient universe who wants to be friends, also there's a frog on the chair. That, yeah, no, I like it. And it's very much dealing with a sense of loss and a sense of, trying to cope. I do definitely think it is one of the strongest of the 13th Doctor's run of them all. But I have a feeling that Demons of the Punjab might be even better. I don't think my opinions are that much different to when I reviewed Demons of the Punjab. It's not a repeat of last time, by the way, because the Ghost Monument, I like it. It's not a crown jewel. But yeah, my opinions on Demons of the Punjab I don't think have changed all that much. God, these episodes are going to be short, aren't they? But Demons of the Punjab is a very... It also has a bit of a subversion. It makes you think, ooh, these demons are the evil villains because they're assassins, but turns out they just want peace. And that, I think, is not only a really good idea, but it perfectly encapsulates the theme of grief and loss that this story handles. And, of course, it was set up through Prem's memories of the war, And what he fought for in the war is completely antithetical to the world he is living in now. A world about division. And if you're not for division, you might get lost in the crossfire.
He said it!
The fact that the decision to divide up India was made by people who we don't even see, and we just focus on the families that it's tearing apart, is beautiful and gorgeous and personal. And I've kind of underestimated how much Yaz is doing in this episode. Like, she's not being much of an active participant. I don't really think anyone other than the Doctor is. They are observers handling their emotions. I think Ryan is the one that's being sidelined the most, because although, yes, he's doing a proactive thing, that's all he's doing. Meanwhile, Yaz seems to be instigating their involvement, all because she wants to get to the bottom of the story behind her grandmother and her grandmother's wedding. She just wants to see potentially her happiest moment, but in fact ends up seeing the most tragic. And Yaz is internalizing this a lot throughout the episode. And Graham is the glue to keep the side cast and our main characters together, giving advice to Yaz to try and, mitigate her feelings, which could end up possibly, harmful to the situation. And also, just when he knows Prem is going to die that day, but he wants to see Prem at his happiest moment with his marriage, just the glint in his eyes, it's beautiful. I definitely think this story is possibly the most beautiful thing that I've seen the 13th Doctor era do, and I do think... I mean, I could change my mind on this, because I'm doing some rewatches, of course, in preparation. So something in Series 12 could end up overtaking it. I don't think Flux or the specials will, because I only like 2 of the specials, and they're not as good as this, and Flux, on the whole, is a bit of a mess, so it wouldn't be that, so it would probably be something in Series 12, if not this. And before you all say, oh, it peaked early, no. Look. 13th Doctor's run may have its best story in her first season, right? Do you know what else did, in my opinion? The first Doctors, the third Doctors, and the 11th Doctors. Yeah. Series 11, my thoughts on it overall. I think it was an interesting start. I do definitely think we should have had... the season was very much back-ended. Everything great about the season happened after episode 5. I did like the opening 3 episodes, and everything after episode 5 was great, other than the final episode, which is the weakest of the season in my opinion. But I do definitely think it was trying to set a tone. And I definitely liked this casual yet melancholic tone. Which, sure, we have an upbeat Doctor to counteract that. But in a way, I like how she thematically is the light that guides the characters. Yaz didn't get much this season, which I do think is an issue. But I do think she was good in Demons of the Punjab and, whatever she got to do, it takes you away as well. But Ryan and Graham processing their grief, the Doctor was the way they got guided through it. But it was they processed it themselves. The Doctor just being there to be essentially their tour guide through the universe, through time and space, helped them reconnect themselves. And they may have not have been able to do that without her. I definitely think that Series 11 could have been the start of something special. I don't personally think it was, only because I think the direction they went was more the style that was, oh, it's just an adventure. But, like, I much prefer the stuff that feels heartfelt in the Chibnall era, because it's trying to just feel good. Feel warm and friendly and calm. Sure, it may not be the melodrama of the RTD era or the introspection of the Moffat era, but it's just trying to be. And I don't think it's meant to be anything more than what it is, really. There are some places where it may be lacking, but I don't feel like the whole era should be written off because it's trying to be a McDonald's and not a 5-star Michelin restaurant. Things can be compared, but the scope that the Chibnall era is trying to be when it comes to the interpersonality of the characters isn't meant to be that grand. I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize what there is, I'm not saying you shouldn't compare, but at the same time, just know that it is trying to be its own thing, and it is, whether you like it or not, I don't know. I just feel like people are unfairly dogpiling on the Chibnall era, and it's like, I don't think it deserves all the hate that it gets. I feel like people are just trying to make excuses for hating on it instead of, doing something better with their life, like liking the things they already like. You know? I'm not saying you should like everything, but focusing on the stuff you hate when you should be focusing on what you love isn't the way to go. And in a way, that's kind of what the 13th Doctor as a character is meant to symbolise. A hope and a light towards all of that. But, of course, feel free to disagree. Just be nice in the comments. That's all I ask. What do you think? How do you like Series 11? You can be honest. Just be nice. You're not allowed... I'm not saying you're not allowed to dislike it. Of course, feel free to dislike it, but do it in good faith. What do you think of It Takes You Away? What do you think of Demons of the Punjab? Leave your thoughts down below, and I will see you next time for Series 12. Don't worry, it's not going to be that one. I'll see you then. Toodle pip.